Okay, let us now begin um, our last, really our last section here in Europe. Well, no, in Eastern Europe. And it's going to be all about the breakup or the disintegration of the country, or once kingdom, of Yugoslavia. Um, and yes, Yugoslavia was another World War One Treaty of Versailles mistake. The French and the British, boy, did you guys cause a lot of problems after World War One. And they created a country called Yugoslavia, which is in this area here on the map. All of the areas combined together were squashed together, all these different ethnicities, all these people of different historic ethnic backgrounds, speaking different languages, having different religions, customs, were all pushed together into one country or kingdom called Yugoslavia. And if you remember, there was an assassination of an archduke in Serbia, I'm sorry, in Bosnia-Herzegovina, in the city of Sarajevo, that caused World War I. So this is where the entire World War I was caused. And largely it's because this area was ruled by the Ottoman Empire in the 1400s, or parts of this area from 1400 all the way until 1900. And as the Ottoman Empire fell apart, this area became, there was a power vacuum. There was a space. No one really knew who was going to control this area since the Ottoman Empire was weakening. And that was a huge cause of World War I. So really, Yugoslavia, this area, caused World War I, which caused World War II, which caused the Cold War. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Ottoman Empire. Thank you, Yugoslavia, for all of the messiness that we've been discussing for the last few months. But anyways, after World War II, we're going to see a guy named Tito, can't pronounce his first name, became the communist leader of Yugoslavia. This area all combined. And he would rule Yugoslavia for 35 plus years. He was a strong leader. And since he was communist, Yugoslavia was never made a satellite state. He said, hey, USSR, let's just be friends. You know, why can't we be friends? In the famous words of War, great group, great song. And they do, they just stay friends. They say, look, you guys do your thing. You keep your satellite states. You don't need to worry about us. We're your brother, right? We're a comrade. Communism's the way to go. But Tito dies in 1980, and the next leaders are going to have a really hard time keeping this country together. In a large part because it's not it's a country that's everyone is the same ethnicity or the same cultural background. So we're going to find that in 1990, the countries of Slovenia and Croatia, both republics now of the Yugoslavia, with some form of autonomy, some sort of form of self-rule, declare their independence. And the country was really being ruled by Serbia at this point. And Serbia is going to actually attack these, well, specifically Croatia, and take some of that land. And this pattern, I want you to see, is going to be the pattern of the Yugoslavian breakdown. Next republic wants independence. Serbia is going to fight them and take some of the land. The next republic wants independence. Same thing. This is the story of the breakup of Yugoslavia. And I am going to now actually show you guys a GIF. I never know the right name for this thing. That is going to show the breakup of Yugoslavia over time. So let's watch. I picked it up mid-stream. And we'll get back and we'll see once unified Yugoslavia, 1989. Here we go. Boom. Croatia, Serbia pull away. This area is taken by Serbia. Boom. Bosnia-Herzegovina pulls away. Serbia comes in and takes big chunks of that land. And that's really how we're going to find that the first few years of this breakup take place, okay? 1989, all of Eastern Europe is pulling away from the Soviet Union, and we find that Croatia and Slovenia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and eventually Macedonia will push for their independence. We will see wars led by Serbia, led by this guy right here. His name is Slobodan Milosevic. He's a war criminal. We'll find that out later. Serbia is going to end up taking huge chunks of Bosnia-Herzegovina, which, oh, by the way, is largely ethnically Muslim. Okay, they're Albanians, ethnic Albanians. Albania is this little country down here. Remember, think Ottoman Empire was a Muslim empire. Okay, Bosnians are Muslims. Milosevic started killing these people and going into villages and killing all of the fighting age men and destroying villages and forcing people to. This is called ethnic cleansing, and we're going to find that mass graves, and these are mass graves, were found. I'm not going to enlarge these pictures, all throughout Bosnia, and Slobodan ordered his troops to just kind of kill everyone. He's a war criminal. Okay, so the U.S. though is going to find out about this, and the U.S. is going to attack Serbia. They're going to attack this guy. And it's going to be an air attack. Actually, it's not just the U.S. All of NATO, the British, our alliance of Western Europe say, no, we're not going to stand for this. We saw something like this 45 years ago from a guy named Hitler, 50 years ago, and we're not going to stand for it. And they start bombing Serbia. This is really the main military offensive of the 8 years of Clinton. He's going to order the bombings of Serbia, and troops never have to fight. There's never a single tank or group of soldiers, moving in and taking land, but they're able to get the Serbians to leave this area just because of our air force, our air power, our air strength. And they don't have an air force. And if they did, they didn't dare put it in the air because we would have knocked it down. Our air force is incredible. It's really the most important part of our military at this point. And the NATO troops get sent in. They get sent in to keep the peace. Continuing on. We're going to find out that the area called Kosovo in 1974, and let's look at our map again. These are your 6 republics of Yugoslavia. Kosovo's down here. Now, it's part of Serbia, but it's ethnically different. These are largely ethnic Albanians, okay? And they were given a little bit of autonomy. Autonomy means freedom. They have a little bit of freedom in the bigger country of Serbia. Same thing with these people up here. I can't pronounce that name. I won't try. And 1989, Slobodan takes away their self-governing right. In the mid-1990s, Kosovars had formed a resistance army and tried to get back some of this autonomy from Kosovo, the war criminal. And, well, he starts killing off these people in huge numbers. He sends in the army to small villages and starts killing off these ethnic Albanians, these Kosovarans. In 1999, Kosovo receives the, so this goes on through from 95 forwards. And then at some point, the U.S. again is going to find out. They're going to say, oh, are you doing that again, Slobodan? Are you killing innocent people and putting them in mass graves? And here comes the Air Force, right? The Air Force moves in, and the Air Force bombs the heck out of Serbia, and Serbia is again backs down and allows Kosovo some sort of autonomy in 1999. Milosevic tries to crush this force. The U.S. steps in and bombs the heck out of him. And then he gets voted out of office. And immediately following, he gets picked up by the International War Tribunal in The Hague in Netherlands, I think. And they take him to court and they accuse him of war crimes. They say, you killed innocent people. You went into villages and first Bosnia and Herzegovina, and then in Kosovo, and you were killing innocent non-combatants, right? Like it's, yeah, there's supposed to be rules of war, and I know that after September 11th, right, that was clearly not following rules of war. You're not supposed to kill innocent people. You can kill in war combatants, right? So if they send their army at you, you're allowed to kill those people, and legally, according to international law. And during the 90s is when international law, led by the US and NATO, was at its strength. Still pretty strong today. But anyways, he gets found guilty of war crimes. And here we have an example of really what was a moment of US strength in the 90s, of what seemed to be, right? And if you stop and you look at this for a second, briefly, let me just finish this up. The Soviet, Serbia and Montenegro were formed an alliance. But what we have is this moment, and I remember it well because this is now my high school, college life. My brain is fully developed, right? And I see this president of the United States who takes our military and uses it in a way that really sounds like the American way. He does what looked like the right thing. I was a kid, and maybe I'm not trying to say, but he fights. He uses the military in a way where no soldiers were killed from the air, attacks a Christian nation who's fighting Muslims. That sounds like he's not attacking the other, but attacking the wrong guy. And then that sounds kind of like, hey, America's doing the right thing here. America's not just following the person who's of the same faith of the majority of Americans, right? It just kind of seems like there's this moment where doing the right thing is prevailing in this war. And really in the 90s, during the Clinton years, he fights to try and get rights for non-Christians in the Middle East. He seems like he's trying to do the right thing. And Yugoslav war is an example of that.